Ladies and gentlemen, to StageZero Life Sciences, a channel on a mission to help reduce the incidence of late-stage cancer through early interventions. Joining us to discuss, we have James, the Chief Executive Officer. First and foremost, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Pleasure to get you on. So I want to dive right into this and kind of get a broad overview of the company. Now, you have this next generation test that can simultaneously screen for multiple cancers from a single blood sample called Aristotle, built on the company's mRNA Sentinel Principle technology platform used by more than 100,000 patients in North America. For newer audiences, do you want to give us a brief elevator pitch to exactly what StageZero is doing in this kind of technology?
Yeah, finding cancer early is absolutely critical. In fact, it's almost the number one health issue that we have in front of us. It's been exacerbated by COVID, delays in people getting screened. And so we're seeing an absolute tidal wave of late stage cancers coming through. Think about it this way. If we find cancer early, you probably got about a 90% chance of surviving 5 years. If we find it late, and 2/3 of cancers, about half to 2/3 of cancers are found late, that survival rate can often drop as low as 10%. So you've got to find it early. In addition to that, the costs of treating it are often 3 to 4 times as much. Cancer costs, catastrophic cancer costs, drive employers' bills, they drive individual patients' bills, and in the US, it's actually one of the primary causes of individual bankruptcy. So you've got to find it early. If you have, what we've been doing so far, if you think about it, is with a battery of older tests, you've had to go one by one in order to look for cancer. In addition to that, they've mostly found the cancer late. They're not very good at finding the cancer very early. That changes with a multi-cancer diagnostic like ours. Single sample of blood will screen for 10 different cancers. We do the most common cancers, that are the ones that have what's called standard of care treatment, which means we can deal with it. But we're equally as good at finding early cancers we are finding late. Now, in addition to that, we actually have an entire oncology program. We employ oncologists, for example. We have a clinic system that provides adjunctive therapy to standard of care to look for better outcome. Our claim to fame on that is the METRIC study was done in late-stage glioblastoma, and in actual fact, we doubled survival rate in 18 months. We're looking to build that out with what we call METRICS 2, and we've been able to pull that program forward into a preventative program, which is about 40% of the cancers are preventable if you can find them, if you know what you're looking for ahead of time and adopt the right strategies. And so what we do is we look at metabolic pathways, and if you flag red or flag amber, we'll look to bring them into green, all of that to focus on trying to prevent this disease.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate these insights. And it sounds like you guys are operating through a few different verticals. Do you want to kind of just discuss the scope? I mean, this is a massive problem plaguing society. So you guys are kind of in this pivotal phase here. Do you want to just talk about the markets you're currently operating in, the scope of the sector size here, and just kind of how this fits into the healthcare system on early prevention?
Yeah, it's huge because the aspect of trying to screen for cancer early is not new. We've been doing it for a while. Mammograms, think about low-dose CT with lung. Low-dose CT with lung, just to use an example, though, gives you 96% of the time false positives, but it's about the best that we've had. And it typically doesn't find cancer until it's about the size of a pea. So what we can do is we can find things much, much earlier than that. So take that and apply it to the healthcare system, and you can see what impact you can have. A primary focus of ours is self-funded employers. We focus on the American market. As an example, 100 million people are employed within self-funded plans. We've shown in a case study, just using breast cancer as an example, that we can reduce costs to the employer as well as the overall benefit to the individual employee by more than 50%. It's huge. So you build that out. I think as well, if we look at the sort of ancillary costs that go with lost productivity, illness, sickness, time off, all of that, if I remember right, it's about 150 billion. So it's huge. So the market is absolutely massive.
Now, I find this industry, a lot of people get into it as a mission-driven industry, not obviously just about the numbers here. And you have over 20 years of experience sitting on a multitude of boards, major pharma companies. I mean, what history for you led up to that aha moment, kind of getting you involved with StageZero?
Yeah, I started in R&D. I guess I refer to myself as a sort of a failed R&D guy that went to the dark side. Loved R&D. It was really neat in terms of where it is. But I moved fairly quickly over to the commercial side. And then I worked about half my career for big pharma and about half for biotech. And I've literally worked all over the world. And there are a whole series of salient moments. It's a very satisfying career. I remember with one group, we introduced an antibiotic. Literally, there was an outbreak of meningitis in tiny babies. 90% of the babies were dying. There were essentially no treatments with that. We had a new antibiotic. We introduced the new antibiotic, and we had a very brave group of pediatric infectious disease guys. And they asked if they could use it in these kids. You know, literally within a month, we had 90% of those kids surviving. And so you go for that. It's that drives it. Cancer is one of the large, really big areas to deal with. We all have friends, we all have family that have died through that. Interestingly enough, a huge number of people that actually work within our company have been personally touched with cancer. We currently have employees currently with cancer, part of that with the journey. And so I think that's a little bit of what drives it. It's very satisfying.
Well, on that note, I'd love to pass the question off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section below, and consider subscribing, because as we continue to follow this story and as news hits the wire, we're going to update you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.